Welcome everyone to another episode of the world's greatest news and reviews.
Giving you opinions about nerd stuff is our superpower.
I'm Captain Mal.
I'm Hailstorm.
I'm Weapon 2. This episode's going to be all the rage. We're talking about that wild man Nick Cage.
Woo! Nice.
Is that his name? Nick Cage?
It is Nick Cage, yes. That is confirmed. Nicolas Cage is the actor's name.
Sometimes I actually say Luke Cage, and so then once I say the right word and the right name, I'm like, did I say that right?
So you know what? Christmas. It's not his real name, so it's okay.
I know.
It's not?
Yeah.
It's one of those stage names, huh?
Coppola?
Yeah.
Cage is better. Hey, thank you for joining us on episode 17 of the world's greatest podcast, where we are going to be doing our top 5 Nick Cage movies of all time. This might be the funnest fucking list ever, because I don't know if you guys know this, Nick Cage is awesome and terrible at the same time.
Yes.
Like, every Nick Cage movie is like amazing and like not good, but like so much fun to watch.
So apparently there was an episode of Community, didn't know this, haven't watched it, that our son was telling us about, where there's a community college class and the professor is teaching about Nicolas Cage and how amazing he is. And apparently the whole episode is about people trying to convince him that he's not. And in the end, they couldn't decide.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's about like how good it is.
Right.
So.
And I loved that he's done so many movies that we may have some overlap, but we're not gonna have all overlap.
No, he's fucking crazy.
Right.
See, overwhelmingly, Nick Cage, much like what's his face? Who's the guy we just saw in Bloodshot?
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Some of these other actors, all they do is they're themselves.
I don't think so. Going through the list of Nicolas Cage movies, which he's been in over 100, he's had some different characters. I just think that lately he's played some of the same characters.
Well, yeah, but when he hit bankruptcy, then he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to do the same thing in every movie.
Just give me money.
He plays himself playing characters really well.
It's like even friend of the show, Keanu Reeves. It's like, how much Keanu Reeves? Is it like 8, 10, 12? What am I cranking that dial up to?
He's always himself in a role. It's not that he's become this other character. He's become himself being this other character. Yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah. But so that's going to be our countdown, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get going, hey, Hailstorms. Weapon 2, how are you guys doing? How you guys been? I haven't seen you in a minute. How are you guys doing amongst the quarantines and all that?
Hailstorm, how are you doing?
Being good?
You know what? I'm hanging in there. As we talked about before, we are not quarantined. We're still showing up to work every day.
Because we're essential.
We are essential. We're doing some overtime.
Expendable.
Yeah, we're doing some overtime. So, this week is not as bad as last week. Last week was a rough one, but hanging in there. I think there's everybody's doing this whole quarantine thing different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, some people really have a tough go of staying home with kids, little ones, trying to get things accomplished.
I am so happy I live alone. Right. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
It's just quiet.
Yeah.
It's
I
great.
mean, I definitely know that there are a lot of people out there that have it way worse off than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, my life isn't that much more different. Instead of going to the grocery store at midnight, I still go between 9 and 10 before they close. That's not the difference. Can't go at midnight anymore.
Yep.
That's when I like to go, when there's nobody around anyway.
Yeah, I concur. Well, speaking of all that, so new segments or new stories have been kind of hard to come by lately. As you can imagine, there's not a whole lot going on. Most of the stories you're going to get are of movies either stopping production, pushing back release dates, that kind of thing, right? Which is why we really haven't reported on a lot of it, because none of it is really like happy news. But one of the major news stories that's coming out of all this is that AMC, the theater chain, is probably filing for bankruptcy, which kind of blows, because next to Regal, at least in our area, they're like the biggest movie theater chain, which sparks an interesting conversation of what do we think is going to happen to the theater industry after this, because even before this became an issue, you're seeing less and less movies get big theatrical releases,
right?
More higher budget, better quality movies being released via streaming services. And it really kind of seemed to me like theaters were there now for big budget, over the top action sequence movies, like Marvel type movies. Smaller movies, independent movies almost didn't need to be released in theaters and could find audiences on other platforms. Now with this happening, holy shit, if they do file bankruptcy, do you guys think it's going to really be like the first step in what might be no more theaters, or do you think that's going to affect it dramatically in the landscape? Like, what do you think is going to happen?
It's a huge possibility. I mean, I know that I was reading that because of the shutdown, they don't have the luxury of declaring bankruptcy but then reorganizing and still being able to pay off their debts and stay solvent.
Right.
They aren't going to be able to do that.
So if they file, they're fucking...
That's what I read. Now, who knows? I'm certainly not an economist. I don't get paid that kind of money. So that was just a thing that I read. But you know, I mean, like, we've seen this before with like record stores, but the difference is that the record store, you know, going there and purchasing and talking to other people in the aisles. And I worked at a record store for a while. Like, that was an experience and that's great. But you could still duplicate a lot of that with finding something, you know, in the streaming. You know, you lost some of it, but watching something on the big screen of a movie theater with other people who are reacting to it,
it's
like when we went and saw Avengers, the last two were amazing because we went the first night or the second night as a group of us, and that energy you can't.
That's it's almost like being at a sporting event. People are cheering and applauding.
Or a concert,
like I love that.
Yeah,
but you don't need that for every movie.
No, and in fact, I've had this conversation with Weapon 2 before. He loves to go to the movies, always has. It's not necessarily a thing that I want to do for every movie because I work graveyard and I fall asleep in the movie theater a lot. So for me, I always tell him I'm not going to watch a movie in the movie theater that's just people talking. Like, if I'm going to go in the movie in the theater to watch it, there better be explosions. There better be something worth seeing it on a big screen. So I think still there's like a huge place for that to be a way to take in movies.
Yeah. What do you think, Weapon 2?
So the way you know, as far as business goes, strategic bankruptcy is a way of getting rid of your debt so that you can continue to be solvent and keep in business. And there's ways to do that. So just because they're going bankrupt doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to try to. Here's what's going to happen. I think that's a reality in our world now. Is we've never shut down our country the way we have over an illness like this. So now it's happened. So now I think we're going to see things change, and I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to figure out a way where you can still go to the movies. You can get a movie experience for some movies that aren't going to do well in the movie theater anyways. You're probably not going to see those in the movie theaters anymore. They're probably going to it's probably going to be more of the movie industry is going to be a kind of a straight. You can get this straight to video or straight to streaming at your house. So way
more like Return of Jafar. When Disney released the sequel to Aladdin, Return of Jafar, it went straight to video. Disney used to do that a lot, but I don't think anybody
also
else does
with
it like
The
that.
Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Yeah, but yes, I kind of see what you're saying, but they're going to have to figure out how it's going to be a model where they're trying to make the same type of revenue they would make if they went to theaters, but it's something that we're going to become as a society to accept of, oh, this is the way we do this sometimes, or with these types of movies. And it's going to have to be in place if this virus comes back next year, or if there's a new one that comes back in a few years, where they've already got this system in place that's there to use so they can switch to it easier. They can go, okay, we're going straight to this thing that we used to do, so that the movie theaters, so that the movie companies can still make movies, release stuff. But I don't know if that's going to work for the movie theaters as a business.
Well, I
don't think it is.
I think it's going to at least start that way. I feel like there's going to be a bigger divide in terms of big budget, $100 million movies that are like projected to make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars,
right.
You know, being the ones that populate theaters, and then less movies. Like nowadays, if a movie if it's a cop drama and it costs $20 million, you know what I mean? It'll still open theatrically. I think those are going to be the ones that are going to go straight to video on demand. They're going to be, $20, you buy it right then and there, and then you own it. And I think they're going to release like that first and then go to the rental process. But
I think the thing about doing something where you release it straight to video is it's still competing with all the other things people are watching on TV. And you've now taken away we're having a date night, we got a babysitter aspect of going to the movies being a special thing. So then how do you make money?
But there's a caveat to that, because say you're like a married couple with 2 or 3 kids going to watch a latest like movie. That's going to cost a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Right.
5 movie tickets, or even just you and your girl go and like you buy snacks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's an experience, but that's a lot of money. Versus there's a movie that you and like 5 of your friends want to see. It's $20. Y'all go in on that. That's super cheap. And now one person, you're streaming it at their house. You could still have people getting together and making it a social thing, just not going to the theater. So like, I feel like there will be a trade-off. People who can't go to the movies as often can buy and stream. You know what I mean?
And I think another big change and breaking point in the industry is the movie companies themselves are going to have to start charging the movie theaters less money for them to have their movie in their theaters, so there's not such a small margin. And I mean, it's already hard enough for them to make money right now. It's going to become harder in the future. The movie companies that make these movies are going to have to stop taking as big a chunk,
right?
And help spread this out a little bit if they indeed want their movies to be in movie theaters anymore.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I just think that it used to be that you knew that in order to see it on the big screen and having that experience, you had a very limited, finite period of time. And so you had to kind of strike while the iron was hot. The movie was only going to be there, you know, a couple of weeks or whatever. Now, if they just release it on, you know, the same TV you watch everything else.
But it's been
the drive-ins are coming back. That's what's happening. We're going to have more drive-ins.
It's been changing for a while, because it used to be a movie was in theater for like a year.
Yeah.
If you look at how many weeks Titanic was in theaters versus Avengers Endgame,
Yeah,
it's like a third.
You know what I mean? Like,
No, but that wasn't odd back then for it to be like same thing like Empire Strikes Back, all those old movies, they were in theaters forever.
But those were the exception, not the rule.
Well,
because they kept them in there while they were making tons of money. Right. Because as soon as they pull, Empire Strikes Back, as soon as they pull that, there was not at that
right.
time.
And at the time also, movies weren't as front loaded as they are now. Now they make half their freaking half their domestic run in their opening weekend.
Right.
Versus before, like a movie like Titanic held steady the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think it's changing anyway.
When I was a kid, the movie theaters only had one screen too. So you would go to see the movie that was in town. We're as a society, we're so used to now having so many options. TV used to only have 3 or 4 channels. Okay. So now we have all this access to everything. We're so used to having everything all the time, tons of choices. We might get back to where we don't have as many choices.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think things are gonna be different.
Yeah, for sure. But see, like I like going to the movies also. Like I'll go to the movies by myself. Like I don't even it's not even like, oh, you can't find someone to go with you. Like no, like that's a cool way to experience a movie. No, I don't care about going to the movies by myself. And but movies like 1917, that's something that you should see in a theater, and you wouldn't get the same effect. I don't care how big your TV is.
Well, same with Endgame.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that amazing battle.
Yeah.
On a TV, it's not the same.
That's why I feel like movies like that will always have a place in theaters, but I feel like it's going to be a lot less options moving forward. But okay, so another thing that a lot of people have been doing amidst the pandemic is having live streams. You know, instead of like having a podcast or whatever. You know, if you really care about each other, you'll do it via video conference. And so Taika Waititi did one last week, I believe. He had Tessa Thompson, aka Valkyrie, on there. Somebody else who's I can't remember, but they were talking about Thor: Love and Thunder. And 2 of the little things that he kind of gave away were, 1, Fat Thor will not be in the movie.
Boo!
Makes me very happy.
Boo!
Not a fan of the Fat Thors. Haven't said how or why.
Sucks!
I'm guessing he went vegan. And then the other big news is he said Beta Ray Bill may make an appearance.
Yay. That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
So we know how Weapon 2 feels. Hailstorms. What do you think about that?
I'm all for whatever it brings. I'm super excited about Love and Thunder.
He also said Love and Thunder is going to make Ragnarok feel like a safe, by-the-numbers superhero adaptation. He said this movie's so crazy and over the top, it's like they took a poll of 10-year-olds and asked them, what do you want in this movie? And everything they said, he just said, yes.
Sounds perfect.
That's how batshit crazy he said this movie's going to be.
Because I want Korg.
He said more Korg, like backstory for Korg. He's going to be a featured predominant character.
It's great.
Something about,
except for the fact that Fat Thor's not going to be in it. It's the best ever.
He also said something about space sharks or like battle sharks.
Why not?
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but
I think that
Is that like a
was
Sharknado?
some type of a thing.
I think no, they're like some kind of cosmic character that I don't know about, but
I feel like I've seen these. I can't remember exactly.
I think Taika Waititi just drops acid and writes this script, and I'm like, do it, dude.
Whatever he's doing.
Sounds like it might be fun.
So first of all, we've talked about Beta Ray Bill a lot,
Yes.
like wanting him to be in these movies. We talked about the Easter egg that was in Ragnarok of Beta Ray Bill. I hope it's not just like a cameo. It seems like this is going to be the type of movie where it's like everyone who can be worthy to be Thor to get the power is probably gonna to try to stop, what is it, the God Killer or whatever his name is, that Christian Bale is presumably playing.
What is his name?
The God Destroyer.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of his name.
So our kind of prevailing theory is we think it's going to be God Butcher. There we go. Like we kind of think it's going to be Chris Hemsworth's Thor, Natalie Portman's Thor, maybe Beta Ray Bill, maybe like other people who have been worthy to be Thor fighting this guy. And that's the case. I want a lot of Beta Ray Bill. Like I think that could be super awesome.
Well, Beta Ray Bill was originally Thor's enemy for a while. He was like somebody who was trying to take. He was fighting him all the time.
Well, and that's why he was partly found worthy, wasn't it? Because they fought to basically a no contest, but Beta Ray Bill like woke up and got up first, so was deemed the winner.
Yeah.
So he's a really, really cool character. I think this movie, like, I was excited about this movie anyway, but to hear it's more batshit crazy than Thor Ragnarok, and that movie was crazy, like, in the best freaking way. Like, that is probably the most rewatchable of any Marvel movie to me. I could put that on any freaking point in the movie and be completely, like, engrossed with it again.
Yes,
like,
I think we've come over and you've had it on multiple times.
Like, I put it on just to be, like, clean, just have something on in the background while I'm cleaning, and then, like, an hour and a half later, I haven't done anything, and I'm sitting on my couch, like, super into it. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Adorable.
I agree.
So, that's really cool. All right, last news story I got, staying with the Marvels. So we reported on this when it was rumored, but it has been officially confirmed. Sam Raimi is going to direct Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. What do we think?
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be more like a horror type movie, so I think he's good. That's his thing. He can do it right. I'm excited. Perfect.
Yeah, I got no beef with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is going to be cool because I feel like this movie also is going to be kind of crazy all over the place.
Yeah.
Lots of weird kind of comedic elements I think could be in this. And I feel like he could mix what should be cheesy but make it funny, but like in a way that works for the movie. Because if you look at the old Spider-Man movies, they had a certain level of intentional cheesiness that probably hasn't aged very well, but like was charming for the movie.
Right.
And the Evil Dead movies are basically half horror, half comedy. So
Right.
I feel like if this movie's going to be as nuts as I think it's going to be, I feel like he's a really good choice.
I'm not a fan of trying to play stuff safe. I want people to be creative, do crazy stuff. Even if it doesn't work, I can appreciate the effort of trying to think outside the box and do something good and original and crazy, as opposed to just something you think is going to be safe and normal.
Well,
Right.
and I think lots of times studios have to play it safe to a certain degree to make sure they get their investment back. I think Marvel is at the point now where they don't have to. They could do whatever the hell they want.
Well, because they've taken risks and they've paid off, so they feel a little bit more confident.
And
That's a life lesson.
And they've also played it safe with a lot of movies, especially some of their early origin story movies
But
played
that's
it very
what I
safe.
mean. Like in the early parts, yeah, they did. I mean, think about where we would be right now if they hadn't like flipped and decided to make Thor funnier
exactly.
and a more well-rounded character
But-
instead of just being like the flat.
But I also think like Phase 1 Marvel, if like something like Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy would never have gotten over. Like they had to get the audience into it first.
They were betting their entire company on those movies.
Yes.
If they hadn't have worked, they had already leveraged all of their characters. They could have done nothing more as a company in movies ever. And it would have bankrupted their entire publishing company too.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was a risk.
Way to bet on yourselves, guys.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So that's all I got for the news. You guys got anything?
I've got nothing.
Nope.
All right. So are we going to go into the top 5 countdown? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
yeah.
Who wants to start?
You want to start, Hellstorm? Or
I
you
can
want me to?
start.
Do it.
I can
Top
start.
5 Nick Cage movies.
Nicolas Cage movies. Okay, so I feel like sometimes I'm here for the different perspective, but my first one is not going to be different. It's going to be pretty similar. Possibly you guys will have some of these on yours. But, you know, with Nick Cage making over 100 movies, I mean, I feel
there's
like
some variety if you want to, yeah.
Yeah. This was fun, though, because I forgot, you know, the movies he's done lately have not been, I think, my favorite type of movies, where he has been kind of playing for the paycheck. But in researching this, I remembered some of the movies that I absolutely loved. So my number 5 is here on the table. It is The Rock. It's a Michael Bay, Don Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer movie, which not everybody may know, but back in the day, like, that meant big explosions, big car crashes. Like, that meant a big screen movie.
Yeah, Bruckheimer is kind of like Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Like, big money, lots of explosions.
Right. So put the both of them together.
Not necessarily
and
good.
that meant big movie. So in this movie, set on Alcatraz, basically there's like a special forces group that's going to take it over and basically hold it hostage, which I'm a big fan of hostage movies anyway. So, and Nicolas Cage plays an FBI agent, which is it's a lot closer to the kind of thing he plays now. But with Sean Connery is like the other half.
Sean Connery.
Right. I really liked that movie, but it's the only one of its type on my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Nice pick.
Yeah.
My number 5 Nick Cage movie. I should preface by saying some of what would be deemed his, like if you were to list off his greatest movies and all that, there's a few of them when I was going through this, I realized I hadn't watched. And I was going to watch them to like make an overall list better. But then I was like, no, because I want this to be personalized, and it's the movies that I think he's freaking awesome in. So some movies, like The Rock, I've never fucking seen. So
Really?
never seen The Rock.
You have it.
I know.
It's a good movie.
You have it on VHS.
I know. And I've heard that it's one of his best movies.
I love it.
Never seen it. Not that I don't want to. I'll totally watch it. But I didn't want to skew my list. I wanted you to get Captain Mal's unabridged thoughts. So Lord of War is my number 5.
Okay.
You guys seen that movie?
No.
So it is where he becomes an arms dealer, becomes super, super wealthy by getting like used guns that have been discarded by like military, by like the U.S. Armed Forces, getting them and selling them to like fucking warlords, like in really, really shithole countries, and then they would go like massacre with them. So it's a really cool movie, and it's different from what he normally does because it's not really like an action movie. It's just about him like building himself up to get into this profession to make a lot of money, and then when he gets to the point where he makes a lot of money, spoiler alert, shit's not awesome. Like that's a kind of a shitty profession to be in,
Right?
And it's like, it's not like his best performance, but it's different because he plays a very straightforward character. He's not over the top, making the crazy eyes or doing anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting story, and it's a good movie, and I love several scenes in it, and I felt like I needed to talk about it because I was going to guess it wouldn't be on anybody's list. So Lord of War is my number 5.
Sounds good. My number 5 is a movie in which he took kind of a different path. He was more of a pacifist. He was against war. Until he saw some people murdered in front of him in a restaurant, and he decided that he was going to get into the gun business, and he became the Lord of War. And so he goes on to, I mean, it shows you the rise and fall of the arms dealers. I mean, the Cold War, let me tell you, that was brutal. I mean, nobody was buying anything.
Are you for real? Is this your number 5?
So he picked the same movie?
Yes.
Number
He's talking
5,
about the same
Lord of
movie.
War.
You know what? This is awesome. This is how you could tell. Similar mindset.
You guys.
So he
That's a good movie, right?
It was a good movie. I liked it. I mean, you see that, hey, it's not a steady market. I mean, things are up and down. I mean, you gotta, and sometimes you're sending some arms to a country, and they do a truce. And you get a call, hey, yeah, those arms, we don't need them anymore. We're in a truce. And you got to say, hey, you know what? You guys suck. I'm diverting these to Bosnia because they know how to commit to warfare. It is a good movie. It is interesting to see how he's overextending himself
to impress the chick,
to pretend that this girl of his dreams so she'll be interested in him, and he's not nearly as rich as he's pretending that he is, which is a bad premise to start a relationship.
No, but then
on.
what's cool about that is then he gets that rich, and then he gets her, but like she's just this trophy to him. And the moment she has like a real moment and is like talking to him about emotional stuff, he's like, get the fuck away from me! Like that's not what I want at all.
He's not a real person. There's no real depth.
He wanted
to his
a trophy.
Character.
Yeah.
He isn't that great a person at all.
No, he's really not.
I mean,
Not at all.
I got that from the whole, what did you say, warlords? He's selling secondhand weapons to warlords so they can massacre people.
Yeah, and he doesn't care what they use them for. He's just like, fuck it, go
Let's see. When they were poor and they were nobody, they had a nice, happy family. They were running a restaurant and everybody was good. Brother was a cook. His brother came along with this little arms stuff to a situation where during one of the arms deals, a guy pulls a gun on Nick Cage. His name Ben. What's his name in this? I don't know. Anyways, so he pulls a gun on him and actually shoots his brother, and they're getting ready to have a shootout. After that, his brother goes off the deep end and becomes a drug addict. And then where it comes to a head is he stops trying to do guns with his brother for a long time. He is a hopeless drug addict. He can't get his life together. His brother sucks him back into the arms business.
Oh, this is sad.
They go to one of these crazy countries where people are killing people, warlord type stuff. They're just horrible people, making a big gun deal, and they're down there. The brother can see them, the troops that are getting ready to get these guns start massacring people with machetes.
And he could literally see like the little fucking poor village. They're gonna smoke with all these guns.
So he's looking at it, he's saying, they're down there hitting them with machetes right now. Just can't wait to get their hands on these guns. Tries to talk Nick Cage out of this, and he's like, hey, we're in this deal. They could probably kill us all if we back out. We can't do it. So he goes over there and blows up an entire truck, half of the weapons that they're getting ready to sell, and then his brother gets mowed down and killed.
There's not shit you can do about it.
I mean, up to that part, it sounded like a great job. Lots of opportunities for travel.
And the cool part of what I loved about that, what I loved about that was how chill the warlord was. He just gets his machete, gets half the diamonds, and slides them over. He's like, okay, well, this much now. Just like it was a Tuesday. He's at the office. That just happened.
You're getting half.
Yeah, like no, it's the most random shit. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good movie. I'm surprised you had it on your list. That's awesome. All right, Hailstorms,
and you
number
guys
4.
had it in the same place too.
I know, right?
Yeah,
weird.
That's awesome. So, you mentioned that Nicolas Cage is thought of for his action movies. That's a recent thing. That was not how he always was thought of. In fact, for The Rock, I did write down as a fun fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger is who they wanted for that movie, and then they ended up with Nicolas Cage, which is not even a discount Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, like, he's the action hero who doesn't even go to the gym, I think. You know what I mean? Okay, so for number 4, I chose a movie called Adaptation. Have you guys seen that one? So this is one. So back before superhero movies came out, my favorite type of movie to see were independent films, which were always very unique. Typically, they weren't made to make a huge box office.
It's not knocking this. I love indie films too. I'll always browse that section on the Netflix. You'll find some gems in there.
There's some really good movies. Yeah. So Adaptation was directed by Spike Jonze and written by a guy named Charlie Kaufman, which is the name of Nicolas Cage's character in the movie.
Okay, I was like, I've heard that name before.
Yeah. So in this movie, he plays both Charlie Kaufman and Charlie Kaufman's brother, Donald. And they're very different. And so this is one of the reasons why I really like it, is because he's playing these two characters, and neither one is I'm crazy Nicolas Cage. One of them is like a very insecure, very awkward, not too sure of himself, just self-loathing. Like, he's a self-loathing guy, and that's Charlie. And then his brother Donald is basically like this, hey, what's going on? Hey, Charlie, I got to come live with you. Hey, Charlie, you're a screenplay writer. I think I should dabble in that. And just like kind of confident, not socially awkward, very different from his brother. But basically, the line between what's real and what's not real in the movie is blurred because the writer of the movie is the name of the character. And basically the character in the movie is trying to write a screenplay based on a book he found about Orchid Thieves. And so it's like all wound together between the real movie and the making of the real movie. You're looking at my earring.
I just noticed it's a fucking T-Rex.
It is a T-Rex.
That's awesome.
I just watched your face.
You saw me realize it.
So anyway, the movie's really good. I like the way that that he plays it, and I always think that Nicolas Cage is at his best when he's not doing the over the top, like, you know.
He actually can act.
He can act. He just hasn't chosen to do that for a long time.
He's just like a caricature of himself now.
Yeah. He's kind of, and that's marketable because he knows where his niche is. But I think him playing the two different people is like really fun to watch. And at the time that the movie was made, this is my fun fact for this movie, Spike Jonze was married to Nicolas Cage's cousin, Sofia Coppola.
So all that's great. I just want to point out the way she has her list folded. It's so precise that like you can't see the next. She's so secretive.
I don't
You can't
know,
see shit. Like she has
You
to
know why?
unravel it.
Because your list is malleable, and so I don't like the fact that you.
Also, she legit has like a paragraph that she wrote for it.
Yeah.
Underneath, fun fact, ... and then a fun fact for each movie. I was gonna say, I love your prep work.
You know
Good
what?
job.
Not all of us can be you.
I'm just saying, it's
Do you know
great.
what's funny
it's fucking
though?
great.
You can riff on a movie and quote exact dialogue on a movie you probably only saw once, but you can't remember anybody's name for crying out loud.
No, I'm so bad at that. Like, I'll remember your face forever, but this screws me at work
I was thinking
all
about
the
that.
time.
When I was listening to episode 16, I was like, he just cannot.
I'm so bad at names.
You could recite a movie line for line after seeing it one time, which I cannot do.
Dude, but like it gets me at work because I'll like work with somebody and then not see them for a while and they're like, hey Vic, and I'm like, what's
Hey,
up, homie?
you?
No, I'm like, what's up, homie? That's why I call everybody homie. I'm
Buddy.
like, what up? Term of endearment? I remember you. No, I don't. But
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. My number 4 next on my list is Next. So this is a movie with Nick Cage, Jessica Biel, and Julianne Moore. It's really, really cool. The premise is he can see into the future, but only 2 minutes ahead into the future, and only when it pertains directly to himself.
Not enough time for preparation.
No.
Sounds oddly specific.
It's very specific, but it's really cool. So he lives in Vegas. He's a magician and all that. And he like gets money by gambling, right? But only like smaller casinos, and he never wins with like too much to draw attention to himself. But attention has been drawn on him, and Julianne Moore is an FBI agent who wants to like capture him to force him to help her find where these people have hidden a nuke somewhere in the U.S. that's going to go off. Despite him telling her it doesn't work that way, I can't see shit that doesn't pertain to me. It's only 2 minutes ahead.
Yeah, and 2 minutes isn't going to help in that situation.
No, but she still wants to capture him to make that happen. It's really, really cool because you're like, well, 2 minutes, that would suck. There's not a lot you could do with that. But then you think about it, there's a lot you could do with that. So like there's this one scene where so Jessica Biel is the love interest. She walks into this diner and goes and sits down. So he's like, I'm going to go talk to her. So he goes and just starts talking to her, just tries to introduce himself. And she's not having any of it, just 100% shoots him down. So then all of a sudden the scene just kind of like rewinds and it's him back at the stool, and then he goes and does it again, and it's like he's playing out in his head, what would happen if I say this? Nope. And he just gets shot down over and over and over again until he finally finds the right way to go, and then she like agrees to go out with him. And I'm just like, is that like morally okay? Like, is that cool? Like, I don't know. This is a weird
I mean,
line.
it was okay when Adam Sandler did it, but only marginally.
But it's really cool.
Oh, it's movies.
But using that
morality
like
coming to movies?
For combat's sakes, like he's leading like an FBI team like through like all these freaking terrorists and all that, and like he knows exactly what way to go, and it'll show him like going down this path and bam, shot in the head, and he's just like, all right, so shoot right there, bam, and all, you know what I mean? So it is really, really cool. The action's really good. The story's really good. Nick Cage is good in it, and this is like a more recent movie. It's mid-2000s. Came out of nowhere. Most people have never even heard about this movie, but I thought it was really, really good, really fun, and a neat premise that showed cool things you could do with just a tiny little bit of power. So Next, my number 4.
Next.
Well, okay, my number 4 is Raising Arizona. Raising Arizona is a very interesting movie where Nicolas Cage's character H.I. is he seems to be a career criminal. He's in and out of jail, prison, whatnot, over and over and over again. Seems to get booked by a female police officer named Ed, which is short for what? Edwina? Edwina? Something like that. The way this works is over time, he sees her weakness while she's going through some struggles with her boyfriend at home. He manipulates her and compromises Edwina.
I think you're looking at that from the wrong
I'm looking at it
perspective.
from the way it happened. She has to leave her job for her love for Hai. And he says he's gonna straighten up and fly right. They're living their life together, seem very happy. Nothing's as good as it seems. Ed is infertile. She cannot have children. So the next thing that has to happen is what? It's just the common sense next step in something like this is what? You go kidnap a child from somebody else who has too many.
I was about to say.
So the very wealthy and influential family from the unpainted Arizona company fortune have quintuplets. And Edwina decides, or Ed decides that we're getting one of them because who needs 5? Maybe they can get by with 4. So
she doesn't even think they'll miss him.
So she has way too many. So she has Hai sneak in and take one of the kids. Boy, I'll tell you what happens next is some of Hai's friends escape from prison. They show up. They're like hanging out. They're not leaving. They're not very welcome guests, especially as far as Ed's concerned. They find out, along with Hai's new boss, that they have the rich guy's kid. So the convict friends kidnap the little baby, and they go on the run with them. They cannot figure out how to put this baby in the car. Now, there are several, at least 2 scenes where they have taken off with this baby on the roof of the car. Baby's unharmed, along with any other animals, as far as I know, in the filming of this movie. There's like this bounty hunter that shows up from nowhere. He's like one of these Mad Max looking guys from the post-apocalyptic. Well, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but he shows up.
Post-apocalyptic He's
looking for the baby because he wants to get the reward for this baby. There's a showdown between Hai and this big crazy Mad Max looking MFer, and he winds up blowing him up with a grenade. They decide that they need to take this child back to his parents and do the right thing. How does it end? Do they ever get a kid or not? I don't think they do. I think they. Oh yes, he has a dream where he dreams that in the future they have this huge family and it's wonderful. We don't know if it ever comes true. Raising Arizona.
Well, no, I don't have to watch that movie. Good job.
Don't.
I got the whole plot synopsis right there.
I have trouble not telling the whole story.
I
want to say this.
Is like you start like sometimes you start like you don't want to, and then there's like in for a penny, in for a pound.
I kind of always want to. So as far as I go, I want you to always to think that there's probably spoilers in my thing.
It's just always assume.
There's always probably going to be spoilers.
Try watching a movie with him that you've never seen before.
I just want to point out. I don't know about you guys. Our brown water is so strong, it's straight up black.
Yes,
Woo,
it's like syrup.
Dude, it's hitting me right.
This is Imperial. If you guys know what Imperial means.
Yeah.
Whew,
it's good stuff.
Strong stuff.
It is good. Captain Mal's having a great time, kids.
Yep.
All right, number 3, Hailstorm.
Number 3. My number 3 is Valley Girl. Valley Girl is a movie that came out, I believe, in 1983. Not a great movie by great movie standards. You know what I mean? It's not a timeless classic. It's not. It really doesn't even stand up well to the test of time. If you look at it today and think, oh, I wonder if this was not misogynistic in any way, or you know what I mean?
First of all, lots of movies make you cringe nowadays.
They do, and I choose for most of them to still appreciate them for what they were when they came out, and that's how I feel about Valley Girl. So it's your basic Grease type story where girl lives on one side of the tracks. She's from the valley, and there's some Valley Girl talk in that, which can be a little irritating
or fun.
Really,
or fun if you're Captain Mal.
Right.
It depends.
Well, luckily it starts out heavy and it lessens, so it's not too bad. But in the very beginning, where they're really trying to really sell it,
sell it,
to
really
really sell it, So, but I thought about doing that whole section, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it and live with myself.
You should have done this whole segment and like.
So, like, my favorite movie of all time was Totes, Valley Girl. No, can't do it.
I like how you rolled your eyes first. You're like, how do I pretend to be dumber? Just
it starts with rolling my eyes. So, but yeah.
No offense to any Valley Girls watching the show.
Right. If there are any left.
Or people that roll eyes.
One of you.
Yeah, bless you. No, it's, you know what I mean? Like for nostalgia's sake, it's a cute movie. You root for him because he's the guy from the wrong side of the tracks, and they sell him as like the punk guy, but he's not really punk by today's standards. But he's still considered to be the guy from the wrong side of the tracks. Our friends don't really like him, so they're rooting against him. And I've never thought ever that Nicolas Cage was in any way attractive, but you still are rooting for him. You know what I mean?
Are you saying that usually, unless you're attracted to somebody, you can't root for him? That's kind of what I feel like you said right there.
I think that's exactly what she said.
I'm just saying that usually when they cast the guy that you're supposed to, the guy that she instantly falls in love with, because when she met him,
it's supposed to be a good-looking dude.
It's supposed to be a good-looking dude.
Okay.
He's always looked a little different, but in this movie it works because he's kind of like this, dark, mysterious guy from the wrong side of the tracks who shows her what the other half lives like, and yeah.
And so other side of the tracks is
sometimes it's what's on the inside and not necessarily what's on the outside.
That's what the movie's trying to say, I think. I don't know. It's not really that deep.
Nice. Okay. Never heard of that movie, but sounds interesting.
Never heard of Valley Girl?
Nope.
I mean, it's not one that I'm going to say you have to watch, but yeah.
All right. Nice. Good pick. Okay. Number 3. We're getting into the classics, kids. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yep.
I just want to take his face. Oh.
That movie.
Fucking Face Off. So, okay, I want to say that my top 3, you could really interchange them. It was really hard for me to pick an order. But Face Off is great. It's a freaking like quintessential 90s action. Travolta is so good playing a bad guy. He's way better playing bad guys than he is playing good guys.
Yeah.
He freaking sells and kills it in every scene he's in. There's so many iconic moments in this movie. Like when he's talking to the daughter about with the butterfly knife, about let him take his pants off, stab, twist, leave it open. She walks away, he's smoking. He's like, I am the fucking man. That's great. Mm-hmm. There's so many Nick Cage memes have came out of this movie. Like when he's beating the dude's ass in prison and does like the crazy laugh and the fucking big eyes and shit.
Yep.
So awesome. Just ridiculous. Like the soundtrack with the 90s fucking guitar and shit like that going. Like everything about this movie is classic peak Nick Cage, peak 90s action, just peak cheese. Like everything about if you have no idea what like 90s action movies were like you could recommend a bunch of movies that would give you a good example. Mm-hmm. This is a great example of it was this fucking nonsense. This is exactly what it was.
And you can't watch it and like think that you're gonna poke holes in it because there's so many holes in it.
Well, that's like, so yeah, it's one of those where like 10 minutes into it, you're just like, I'm just gonna get my brain.
It's a sponge.
Shake this, shake that motherfucker out.
That movie's a sponge.
Yeah, and as long as you do that, you'll have a great time.
Yes.
If you think about anything, you're like,
I wonder if this could really happen.
Don't do that. It can't. Also, I love the scene where he has to get high because he's with all the drug guys, and he's a cop, so he doesn't do drugs. And he gets high, and he's just like, I want to take his face off. And then the drug guys are just like, no more drugs for that man. But yeah, Face Off, my number 3.
You know what I loved about that movie is just the way that the two play the opposite roles.
Right.
Because they did take on the characteristics of the other person.
And that's what, so like they're playing themselves straightforward.
Right.
But then when they switch, all of a sudden, like Nick Cage starts doing these little Travolta ticks.
Yes.
And vice versa. Travolta starts acting like Nick Cage.
Yep.
And watching like Travolta act like Nick Cage while being a dick is some of the best shit you'll ever see.
Right.
Like, that is a good
and
movie.
Vice versa, watching Nick Cage, because Travolta has said that every time he does a character, he makes up a new walk for that character. Like that character has its own way of walking, and Nick Cage did that when he was being John Travolta.
Nice.
Loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
All right, number 3.
My number 3 it's a beautiful love story, kind of your classic love story. My number 3 is Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, nice. God, no.
Before you go, screech! Stop the tape. Leaving Las Vegas is a beautiful love story. Okay, it's two broken people. One of them, who's actually a true story about a writer. And
why do you always have to bring the room down?
Maybe it's my nature.
It's not.
What's this movie about?
And
have you ever
so
seen it?
you've never
Leaving Las Vegas?
Leaving Las Vegas? Oh my goodness!
Now
bro.
he's going to tell you the whole movie from the beginning to
But
end.
that was gonna happen.
25 minutes of this movie.
So the screenwriter, and this is actually a true guy. It's actually kind of a true story about this guy. He's an alcoholic.
Wait, are you talking about Fear and Loathing in
No,
Las
this
Vegas?
is Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh,
Leaving Las Vegas.
He's
Horrible movie.
his family's left him. He's having a hard time. He loses his job. He decides that. Because, I mean, he already has a drinking problem. He is going to go to, with his severance check that he gets from the company that he works for, and drink himself to death in Las Vegas. He goes to Las Vegas.
Not funny, like sad.
Meets a prostitute who's having a hard time of her own.
Is it Elizabeth Shue that plays the prostitute?
I think so. I'm not very good with the actors and actresses' names, but
I think it is.
And she and her.
I mean, there's a computer in front of me.
Her. I mean, you could open this up. I mean, the world's greatest computer, but what the heck? I mean, whatever. And so
make it earn its money.
She's having problems of her own. I mean, her pimp gets murdered. And
I swear to God, if you beat me because I don't have a mouse, I'm gonna be pissed.
She needs to. She meets Nick Cage's.
You know what? Turn your mic off.
Meets her.
Confirmed, Elizabeth Shue.
Okay, thank you. Meets them. They meet each other. They're like trying to hit it off a little bit, I guess. It's really weird, super weird. But they do discover, since they're all broken and they need somebody or something to love in their lives or care about, that they love each other. But that's not changing anything because he's still drinking himself to death. Nothing's changing that part. And he does that. One of the most classic scenes of this movie is I think it's I feel like a prickly pear. A prickly pear. This happens after he is so drunk that he falls into a glass coffee table at poolside and gets pieces of a glass all stuck into his back as he's saying he feels like a prickly pear. He does win.
But I want to make it clear that this is not a movie that's played as a comedy. It's made
it's
to
not.
be like the most depressing,
it's a beautiful love story.
Despite
horrible, sad.
Despite Weapon 2 constantly laughing and giggling to himself.
That's why I'm trying to say, like, if you think that this is a movie about
it's a rom-com,
despair.
right?
No, this is a movie about despair. This is a movie about like being at the end.
Yes. Oh no, and it does reach to the end because he does die at the end.
There's like you just saying it's about despair and reaching the end. The nihilist in me is just like, I need to watch this now. Yeah. Like nothing he said sold it, but that right there.
It's actually, even though it's a depressing movie, it's a really good movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did it win awards when it came out? I remember exactly when it came out.
I think it did. I think maybe he at least got nominated.
He won an Oscar for this.
Yeah, it's
for Best Actor.
Yeah.
Did he? Yeah. I remember that when it came out, it was like just this mind-blowing.
A lot of people say this is his best performance.
Okay.
So regardless of what you think, it's a good movie. Nice. Is all I'm saying. Leaving Las Vegas.
Nice. Number 3. All right. Number 2.
I just feel like you like to see that despair so that you feel better about your own life.
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
As opposed to you, I'm not afraid to feel all kinds of feelings. You want the happiness all the time.
Yeah, so,
I understand that. I'm not afraid to feel sad.
But that's the thing. So a movie like this that'll make you feel
that.
despair and all that kind of stuff. If a movie could affect your emotions and make you feel that way, if his performance could do that to you, then to me, that's a great writing and acting and directing. That's when a movie is coming together to affect your emotions in that kind of way.
And
that's when it's really good.
I acknowledge that that's a great and powerful thing that movies can do. I just don't like them to be doing it to me.
That's fine. So then don't watch those. And these aren't movies. I'm not going to watch something like that as often as I do Ragnarok. Right. But it's cool to get that experience and see a movie like that from time to time.
Well, I mean, this is where a little insight into my own life. We were talking earlier about the Titanic, and when the Titanic came out, which I remember when it came out, I tried not to watch it because I knew it was going to be horrible. Because you know how it ends, right? They all die. Well, most of them.
No,
Not all of them.
I'm just saying if they really wanted to have a twist in that movie, like
Some
they
people
fucking
feel
make
like the
it.
king of the
Side
world.
swipe the freaking thing.
So
That's a horror
I didn't
movie,
want to
though.
watch it, and we talked about the fact that it was in the movie theaters forever. And somebody asked me out on a date to go to that movie, and I was like, yeah, I really don't want to, and he really wanted to. And after the date, this was a first date. After this first date, I had to sit on the curb and cry. Like outside the movie.
You had to cry?
Horrible. And see, she saw it 7 times in the theater. I could not do that. I saw it one time and I've never seen it again. Sat on the curb and cried.
Dun, dun,
That song, though. Yeah, that song.
you are.
Oh, my God. MTV wouldn't stop playing that fucking video.
Right. I don't get over things like as easily as some people. And so I just try and avoid them. And I'm okay with that.
That's okay.
Okay, do you want to talk about the movie that's actually on your list now?
Yes, my number 2 now, because we're on number 2.
Yeah.
Yes, my number 2 is also a love story, and I have loved this movie for years.
Leaving Las Vegas?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Different love story. Okay.
Different love story.
All right.
Moonstruck.
Okay.
Yes, I love that movie.
Never seen it.
Never seen it?
Nope.
Okay. So this is a movie. It stars Cher, and she is.
Was he still going by his original name in this one?
He
No?
wasn't.
Okay.
He was. This was early in his career, but not super. I mean, like it was. He was already starting to be. Well, I mean, so my fun fact for this one is that the studio did not want him even after he tested for the role because they didn't like him and didn't think he had a big enough name. And she said she wouldn't do the movie if they didn't pick him. So he wasn't big enough to be like, oh, we have to get Nicolas Cage.
And then he became Nick Cage.
Right.
But they're
happy. This is a movie. He plays a guy named Ronnie Camerari, and she is engaged to his brother. He's not a huge fan of his brother because he lost his arm or his hand, and he blames his brother. So he sees her and falls in love with her and immediately tries to woo her. And the reason why I love the movie is not so much Nick Cage's performance as the change that she goes through once she gets like that fire of having somebody be passionate about her. At the beginning of the movie, she's just like this very dowdy woman who does everything for everybody else all the time, never does anything for herself. And the brother that she's engaged to he's played by Danny Aiello, who's in fact in real life was like 30 something years older than Nicolas Cage. So as brothers, that's not totally believable, but okay. But he's just he's a nice guy. He's not a bad guy. So, but she doesn't feel any passion for him. So she's gonna marry him because it's the right thing to do. But so she, when Nicolas Cage falls in love with her, she keeps trying to tell him he shouldn't, but basically, it still makes her like change into this woman that, you know, she realizes that she's a person that people can fall in love with, or, you know, whatever. She feels that fire again. Yeah, it's a beautiful movie.
Nice.
It is beautiful.
Movie.
Thanks.
Sounded beautiful.
Fantastic
Like, I would
movie.
be shedding a tear if I weren't dead on the inside.
I know.
Nice. Good number 2. All right. My number 2. Put the bunny back in the box. Why didn't you just put the bunny back in the box?
Oh my God.
Con Air, because this is the best hair Nick Cage has ever had in any damn movie. Now,
Is that because his hair looked like young Victor Soriano's hair?
I don't know who that guy is, but he might have looked like a young Captain Mao.
You know what? His hair, if you look at all the roles he's played, his hair is almost like another character.
Oh, it's
in the
great.
movies.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, Con Air. So, talk about quintessential like 90s action. Face Off, Con Air. Like,
Yep.
that's another one you throw out there. Everything about it is what made 90s action movies simultaneously great and kind of ridiculous. So the plot is like he's this badass, like, I don't know, Navy SEAL, Marine type dude, whatever, gets into a bar fight by this dude being a dick to his wife, and because of his, accidentally kills him because he's so awesome. Because of his training, he gets sent to prison, right? So his wife's pregnant at the time. She has a little girl that he refuses to let her see him in prison. He's getting released and is going to go see his wife and his daughter for the first time. He's on a plane getting transported with a bunch of other prisoners, and the prisoners take over the freaking plane.
Oh, no.
Hence the term Con Air.
But those are all good boys.
Yeah, okay.
They're poor, misguided victims of society.
That is made mistake. But but the cast in this movie is insane. Yeah, like freaking John Malkovich is in this, playing like one of the most creepy, terrifying dudes like ever. Bunch of people whose names escape me because, as we just talked about, I'm bad with names.
The box is right there. You can look at the box.
Nick Cage. What do we got? John Cusack. He's an FBI agent. He's he's.
I don't love his serious roles so much.
But so he's basically going along with them because like he has to, but he's really wanting to like derail their plan and stop it and all that. Yeah, John Malkovich, really good. So this movie's fun. It's a lot of action. Nick Cage does the worst Southern accent you've ever freaking heard, but. Unlike like most bad accents, like part of what makes an accent bad is when the actor keeps doing it and then not doing it and like slipping out. No, he holds to his gun. Every freaking line is this terrible accents. Is amazing.
There's a place for me. Bad accents in general. There's a place for that with me.
Yeah,
it's like
not a bad thing.
I appreciate if you stick. If you're giving it,
it's not a knock to the movie for me. Yeah. It's a pro. It is in the pro column.
Like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. Yeah, that's. I think that's like the quintessential bad accent for a movie. But he committed to it.
Yeah, you got to commit. If you're gonna do a bad accent, commit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Con Air, my number 2.
Con Air is a good movie.
Nice. Well, my number 2. It's a little movie called Adaptation.
Oh. I thought when I said, have you guys watched this, that you both said no.
I did not say anything.
Okay.
Maybe you should stop putting words in his mouth, huh, Hailstorm? Maybe you should stop doing that.
You put a lot of preconceived notions in that head of yours.
Yeah, about a lot of things.
Back it up.
Here's the interesting thing for me about the movie Adaptation. Adaptation, what it is, it's a story about an orchid thief, a guy who's thinks he's worked some angles where he's got some Seminole Indians stealing flowers for him because they can, and he thinks he can stay out of trouble. He thinks he's super smart.
He's a poacher.
And he runs around talking like he thinks he's the smartest guy who's ever lived. So there's this character, there's a thing going on. There's a reporter played by Meryl Streep, who is a reporter for The New Yorker. She writes articles about this guy, goes down and find out what's going on. They turn her articles into a book. It's a book. Then, of course, Hollywood says, hey, we want to make a movie out of this. For me, the genius in this whole thing is what happens from that point on. Because it does have Charlie Kaufman, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Charlie Kaufman is the real life writer, the screenwriter, the guy hired to write the screenplay for this movie. The thing is, this entire movie is about at least the first 2 acts are about his struggle to try to figure out how to even do this and make this movie. And he's totally insecure, self-deprecating. He has low self-esteem. He's a miserable person. Now, for this movie, he invents a brother that does not exist. He does not have a brother named Donald. He invents for a tool for this movie
device.
his pretend brother Donald,
a
twin, who is like Hailstorm has said, everything he's not.
Yep.
He's got a lot of he seems like he has all these things going on. He's got self-esteem. He's
comfortable like a Tyler Durden situation.
Kind of, but different.
Except later on, there's a conversation that happens where Charlie explains to Donald, hey, when we were kids and we were in school, this one time where you were talking to this girl after you left, everybody was laughing at you, or she was laughing at you or something. And his brother goes, I don't care. I loved her. And he goes, but she didn't love you. She was like laughing after you. He goes, that doesn't change how I felt. He goes, wow. So it's like he knows that everybody doesn't think he's great, that he's not always, even though somehow it seems like he is kind of the life of the party, he knows that he is not this great person and recognizes it, and he's fine with it. He doesn't care. And it's that moment where he says, what mattered is that I loved her. It didn't matter that, because I still have those feelings. Those are real feelings that I had. And so it was an interesting point in this thing. And so for me, there was a lot of just genius in this movie itself, where in addition to him playing both the roles, and I did a really good job playing both the roles, it's a real interesting insight into somebody struggling to write a screenplay and how hard it must be for a lot of these people who that's their business and they do it. And it's funny because his imaginary brother who starts writing these, he's got all these rules where he's talking to himself. And it's funny because he's in the movie, he's narrating into a speaker, and then later in the movie you see him doing exactly what he did, also narrating into the speaker. It's like these layers of him, of the transparency of this whole process happening, of him writing himself into this movie. And the funny thing is, so later on, his brother, who says, hey, I'm going to start writing screenplays too. And then his are just taking off like wildfires. He just going, your brother's screenplay is awesome. We're going to make a blockbuster out of this.
And they're like effortless.
Yes, yeah. And he's got all these rules. He can't do this and he can't do this, which he's always breaking throughout this entire thing in the first two acts. But all this stuff about crazy action scenes and all this stuff at the end, he says, you know what? I'm just going to make the whole third act about all these rules that I think shouldn't happen, that my imaginary brother put into his screenplay, and just make it crazy drugs and shooting and all this crazy stuff. That none of that actually happened in this book at all. He made that up for the end of the movie, which made it interesting at the end too. That's it. Adaptation.
Huh.
So I definitely think that, so whereas I'm not going to say to you, you have to watch Moonstruck because you're not going to get out of it what I would. I think you should watch Adaptation.
No, it actually sounds like something I'd find really interesting.
It's a good movie.
It's
and then
really interesting.
The third act, because because Weapon 2 explained about the first two acts, the third, you know what? I can't not say, stop farting.
Oh my
For
God.
crying out loud.
Nobody farted.
We can't pretend that this is not happening.
It's not.
Stop farting.
It's her phone vibrating.
It's her phone.
Is it?
Yes.
That's what that was.
I thought that was you this
No.
whole time. Like, Jesus.
That's why I was like, can't pretend it's not, like, it's not happening. Is this like your thing? Is this like your...
This is funny. She just called you out. And the joke's on you!
No, the whole time I'm like, how can you keep doing that and pretending you're not?
First of all, let's also point out, if I were, clearly I'm the professional. Clearly I'm a professional because I keep going. You're the one who has to stop the whole podcast. This is, hey, if you're not a Patreon, you haven't seen the Lost episode when she drank a lot of brown water.
No.
Every 5 minutes she would look at me and be like, did you fart?
I've not drank that much.
Yeah.
So now I lost my train of thought, though. I did it to myself, but
You did.
You were talking about
Basically-
you think that he should watch Adaptation.
I think that you should watch Adaptation because the third act is like all the plot points about the whole orchid poacher stuff. All that turns into like this big thing. But the first two parts is all just about his struggle to figure out how to take this nonfiction book and make it into this story for TV.
And the first two acts are what actually happens in the books, what it's written. The third act is just all crazy and made up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Hey, live studio audience, can you silence your cell phone? Because apparently... No. Silence, not vibrate. Because apparently Hailstorm finds vibration funny as shit.
Hailstorm took
I
She
swear
thinks
we
that's the
all thought
funniest
it
thing
was
there.
She derailed this train.
The punchline to any
Engineer,
joke...
our train has been derailed.
Oh, thanks.
No, it just at that point.
Let's
I
stop
thought
talking
there's
about it.
no
Let's
way
stop
the
talking about it.
microphone's not picking that up.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, probably the microphone didn't. pick it up.
Everything.
But-
It probably didn't.
It's fine.
Audio listeners are going to think you're losing your mind. But hey,
Get
let's
this
get
train
going.
back on the
Let's back on the
rails.
rails. All right. What are we at? Number one? That was your number one?
No, that was number two.
Oh, that was all Weapon
Number
2
two.
talking. All right. Number one.
So my number one is one that Weapon 2 already picked, but I have loved this movie since it came out. It's by the Coen brothers, who also have my other favorite movie of all time, Big Lebowski. They also did Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So they're clearly geniuses, and that is Raising Arizona. They use a lot of the same people in all their movies because the Coen brothers are married to or one of them is, not both of them, that'd be weird. One of them is married to Frances McDormand. Frances McDormand and Holly Hunter, who played Ed, were roommates in college, so that's how she ended up being in the movie. They wrote that part specifically for her. That movie, their genius is always in their dialogue. So that one, if we end up on another round of movies we all have to watch for a review, I wish I could pick Raising Arizona because I want you to watch it. But since you've already watched it and we just talked about it at length, I don't know if it's worth it, but I want you to watch that so much.
I mean, you're my friend. You could just ask me to watch something, and I'll just watch it.
Yeah, but I feel like
there doesn't have to be any strings attached.
You have to watch this.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, there don't have to be strings attached.
He's on vacation right now.
Yeah, I could watch.
Oh yeah, that's
stuff.
right.
It's fine.
Please watch this movie now. Like, we could pause the movie. I mean, we could pause this recording. We could just go watch it right now.
Let's not. But okay, I'll watch it.
We're gonna complete this.
Send me a little texty text. Remind me.
It's such a good movie, and the dialogue with the Coen brothers, they always have spot on dialogue that's immensely quotable. I just love that movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I will check it out.
That's my number one.
I make my pledge to you, Hellstorm. I shall check out Raising Arizona's.
I appreciate it.
All right. My number one Nick Cage movie of all time. Gone in 60 Seconds. So I love Gone in 60 Seconds. This might be the movie that made me love Mustangs. I feel like this movie's awesome because it is, again, it's early 2000s. I believe 2001 is when it came out. And it's stupid, ridiculous, over-the-top action, like kind of in the same vein of like 90s action movies. But it actually has like a pretty neat story to it in that Nick Cage is a retired car thief. Him and his crew walked away from a life that was going to get them killed or end up in prison. And he comes back because his little shithead brother follows in his footsteps, takes on a job for this fucking creepy-ass mobster dude that is too big for him to handle. And he has to come out of retirement, steal 50 cars in 2 days, get his old crew back together, and make this fucking thing happen. And it's great because you see like a cool clash of like old school versus new school and like his little brother's crew helping them steal cars. There's like a really cool dynamic in it where like the main detective guy is going after Nick Cage trying to find him, but when he figures out why he came back and why he did it, he actually lets him go because he understands. The action is over the top, lots of really, really cool cars, just insane action throughout the movie. Like once it gets going, it never stops. Again, utterly quotable. Lots of memes have been made because of this movie. Great movie. Gone in 60 Seconds. My number one Nick Cage movie of all time.
It is a good movie.
Yeah. Well, hey, my number one is a movie about the world's greatest historical treasure hunter, Clues follower extraordinaire, Benjamin Franklin Gates, a little movie called National Treasure. National Treasure for me, I'm going to be honest right now. 3 days ago, I had National Treasure on my list as number 5.
Which is kind of where I would expect.
It's an honorable mention.
After watching it again last night, it jumped straight to number 1 for me.
Really?
Okay, you have to say why, because in my mind, that movie is so cheesy.
Now, if we're talking about cheesy movies and Nicolas Cage, you can get rid of most of them.
Yeah,
most of his movies have varying degrees of cheese.
Yes,
so let's take cheese off the table.
And then there's unintentional
No,
cheese.
it's intentional because The Sight of Weapon 2, before he gets really in depth, when that movie came out, I was like, hey, that's like a modern day Indiana Jones.
Exactly. That was my next words out of my mouth.
I recognize that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had just come out, but that doesn't count. Fuck that movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it is. It did remind me a lot of an Indiana Jones movie. But I'll tell you what, watching that, it wasn't that cheesy. He actually plays a really kind of normal type character who's his whole family has been. It gets weird because it's one of these Indiana Jones type things. His whole family has been chasing this treasure since Revolutionary times, but. You know, it's far-fetched like any movie about how, oh yes, this clue you've decided that it means this. Of course, but that's all movies. But it is an interesting movie, and as I watched it, I was like, you know what? I think this is a really good movie, and it might be my favorite Nicolas Cage movie, and that's why I put it as number 1.
Hey, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely be an honorable mention for me. That was on my list for a minute before I started shuffling them around. So
yeah,
so you went with that was your number 5, and then you rewatched it and you shuffled it to number 1.
Yes, I had it already without rewatching it. Haven't seen it in a long time. Put it as number 5. When I watched it, I said, you know what? I think I'm enjoying this more than any of the other movies.
Huh.
Yeah.
See, I started with my number 1 because I knew immediately when we picked this what my number 1 is.
Adaptation was my number 1 before I watched it.
Okay.
I didn't rewatch anything. I remember them. It's fun.
No, I rewatched every single one of
us.
these again with the last few.
We're old.
I was gonna, but then
I'm old. I couldn't remember all the things I said.
And I was gonna rewatch The Matrix, but I was like, I could recite that entire movie. Like, I don't need to watch The Matrix.
See,
like, I watched
I don't
part of
have
it and
that
was just like,
ability.
I don't need to watch anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to watch Raising Arizona again just to watch Raising Arizona again because it's one of my favorite movies that I can watch.
I bought it.
forever.
It's on our Amazon,
Well,
so you can go ahead.
we had it.
I know.
just don't- it's one of those I've probably bought like
It's okay.
10 times over.
It's right there for convenience
like it.
on Amazon Prime for you
Nice.
there.
All right, anybody got any honorables?
My honorable
The Rock
mention-
was one of mine. That's a good movie.
Mine
Love
was
The Rock.
Wild at Heart, which was a David Lynch movie. And if you weren't around in the 90s or were watching David Lynch movies in the 90s, probably don't know what that means. And David Lynch was really good at making pretty artistic films that were hard to understand, but amazing to watch. And Wild at Heart was one that Nicolas Cage made like in his early days, in the 90s. Very artsy. I wanted to watch it again. I couldn't find it. So that's why I didn't put it in my top 5 list because I couldn't watch it again. But yeah, dark, very dark. David Lynch did Twin Peaks. I don't know if that's the thing you've ever even heard of.
I've heard of Twin Peaks.
You know,
Never seen it.
Just
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just a baby.
I mean, you're getting older
That's rough.
than when I
know.
first met you, but
Well, I'm wild at heart. That's all I know.
My honorable, and this is not just for T-Crawler, but it is Spider-Verse, because he is hilarious in Spider-Verse.
yeah.
Gets a lot of the big laughs, but you're welcome, T-Crawler. Somebody mentioned your damn movie.
Yeah. Like you would have if you were here already.
Would have been his number 1.
Yeah.
You know, and The Rock was one of mine. That's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite movies. When I went to look at these, I was like, maybe that'd be like number 6, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is our top 5 Nick Cage movies of all time. What are your top 5 Nick Cage movies? Make sure you comment and let us know. Weapon 2.
Uh-huh.
What are we doing now? What time is it? Oh, wait. How are we doing this?
Well, we're going to do it like we always do. Are we talking about how we're going to say this or that, or are we going to talk about how are we doing the list? It's pretty much just me throwing out questions and
I was going
everybody
to say, are we
answering.
going to try to do the this or that again?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if our live studio audience is going to get her.
Let's not
her
even
shit
tell her
together.
that
No?
she. Let's just start it right now.
Yep.
Go.
This.
Or
That. Let's do that a couple
that's
more
better
times.
than last
That's
time.
fun. That's
That was
good
actually
job.
well played.
I want this.
You used the fear, is what you did.
You let that
on
out
her
nice and
face.
loud. Here we go again.
This.
Or
That. Nice. Yeah.
Is
That is good work, everybody.
Is that like a dolphin?
That's good job. That is, man, we're on top of our game today, folks.
That's the best we've ever done.
That
Yeah.
is probably the best
Yeah.
we've ever done. All right, people. Number 1. Who's your favorite speedster character and why?
What?
Speedster, favorite speedster.
Superhero that's fast. Or it can be any character.
So like
Fast.
the Flash is a speedster. Anybody who has that ability to type
Speedy Gonzalez.
Speedy
That's a speedster.
That's just a
Why?
speedster.
Now the next why?
Because he says, Yaniba, Yaniba. Because he was my, I mean, like, that's the earliest
From your
one
childhood?
I can think of. Yeah.
It's fast.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Come back to me.
He's not deep. He doesn't need to be deep. There doesn't need to
I'm
be
coming back to
layers
you.
to Speedy
Yeah.
Gonzales.
My favorite speedster character is a golden age character from Timely Comics. This is the Whizzer. Whizzer came out shortly after DC came out with Flash.
Doesn't that word mean something different now?
I don't know. I don't know if you're into something I don't know.
No, I
Whizzer?
just feel like if there was a character
what are you
called the
into?
Wizard,
Yeah.
if there was a character called the Wizard now,
Well,
he'd be doing something.
I like it.
something different.
I like it because it's old timey sounding, and it's like they were a couple guys sitting in a room. Hey,
What are you doing? Get out
we
of
want
here.
to
I want you to drink this.
come up with.
Not mine yet.
That's okay. Well, here, you can pour it in mine. I don't care.
I mean, we're going to split it.
Yeah, it's fine. We can. I mean, it's like they're sitting in a room and they're saying, "Hey, let's try to come up with some character that sounds fast." And somebody goes, "I don't know, Whizzer sounds like something that's fast." It sounds just as silly as can be when people are trying to come up with just nonsense names for characters. Now that we're talking about the Whizzer, guess how the Whizzer got his powers?
How?
The Whizzer was a mutant that didn't have powers up until he was on a safari in Africa. He was bitten by a cobra. They gave him a blood infusion from mongoose blood.
Mongooses are quick. They could eat cobras.
Yes.
So it was like
Like a
a.
whiz.
And that I don't know, that what that did was it activated his mutant gene and he became fast and the Whizzer, and he just wears this silly yellow costume with wings on the sides of his head and a W that looks like it's going real fast.
A fast
Whizzer.
W.
And also, the Whizzer showed up in one of the Jessica Jones episodes. He was that little
He
fat
was.
guy.
He was the dude who ran away.
He's a little fat guy.
Oh
you know
my
what the
God,
Whizzer's
I
name
remember
is?
that.
Robert Frank.
Oh,
Robert fucking Frank?
That's
like
Robert fucking Frank. That's his name. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh my god! Okay,
That's
totally
a fun fact.
Totally off topic. Robert Frank posted one of the funniest things on Instagram I've ever seen. Made me laugh so hard. So it was a screenshot of his DM. Somebody asked him, he's like, "Hey, Robert Frank, what's a good way to break up with my girl?" And he writes, he's like, "Text her this. Damn, your ex-boyfriend is jacked as fuck." When she says who, be like, "Me. Bye." All right, anyway, my favorite speedster, after a little bit of deliberation, Iabatan, a.k.a. the Reverse Flash.
Okay,
I think it's
nice.
pretty awesome. Yeah, I was probably going to be Barry. He's my favorite Flash, whatever. I know you guys like Wally West. But I think he's such a good bad guy, and like a great bad guy makes the story between him and the good guy. You know what I mean? And and he's such a dick. Like, I like it. So yeah, Iabatan, I think, would be my favorite speedster.
You know,
Oh, hang on. Live studio audience is raising her hand.
What do you have?
A-Train.
A-Train?
Oh,
shit.
from
Hey,
The Boys?
Good pick. Didn't even
A-Train.
think of the boys. All right.
you know what the first team the Whizzer was on was? The All Winners.
The all winners?
The All Winners.
So if you
I think it was
lose,
the
you
All
get
Winners.
kicked out?
Old-timey.
That sounds old-timey as
Yeah.
shit.
It's all time.
Sounds like an old baseball.
All winners.
Baseball team
Yeah.
with striped uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
You gonna do number 4?
Oh, yeah, no,
You're the one doing
I thought I started taking a break, everybody.
I know. I was like, you're just
Oh,
leaning
my
it back.
goodness.
Like, you're...
Here we go. I forgot I'm running this ship right now. Favorite Spider-Man actor and why?
Like that played Spider-Man? Or just Tom Holland?
Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I
Mine-
didn't even care about Spider-Man.
Mine, I
Tom
can't
Holland.
remember the actor's name, but it's the guy who played Spider-Man in the Electric Company.
Wait, what?
The Spidey super stories.
Oh my goodness.
You look him up. We'll find out what his name is. I
looking.
think his last name
I'm on it.
You know, why do I even have the laptop
His last
there?
name's like Segan or Siegel or something like that. But anyways, no, it's really Tom Holland.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's just when I was a kid, I remember watching that little Spidey Super Stories on Electric Company.
Well, he's the best for a lot of reasons, but I do want to say that I think Andrew Garfield wasn't bad, and if the scripts were better, I feel like he would have done a good job. It's just what he was working with was garbage.
Yeah.
So the name of the person that played that Spider-Man on Electric Company was Danny Segrin, who had experience as a dancer and a Muppet handler.
There we go.
You know what?
This is just rumor and hearsay. It probably won't happen. But a lot of people are throwing out theories that since Sam Raimi is doing Multiverse of Madness, and if they're going to introduce a multiverse,
They're gonna have a Spider-Verse.
how fucking awesome would it be if Tom
There we
Holland and
go.
Tobey Maguire show up?
It'd be awesome.
I would lose my shit.
Yep. Let's
T.
do it.
Crawler would have a heart attack, a joy-induced heart attack.
Hollywood,
die
let's
happy.
make this happen. All right.
Again, it's you.
Oh, it's me. Oh my God.
You give me that look like, what's
Thank
next?
you. Thank you.
This is how you designed this. You
I
designed
know.
this way.
It's because he doesn't have a physical piece of paper. In
I
front
don't
of him.
have my
That's
paper.
What's
I
fucking,
get
I know.
thrown up.
It's
I know
messing
him.
up.
That's what's messing him up.
That's
Yeah.
what's happening.
And this Blackwater is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Just saying.
How do you
strong for
think
me.
an apocalyptic event is likely to happen?
You want to start a fight.
Nuclear devastation? A huge asteroid striking the Earth? Zombie virus? Or add one of your own?
How do you think or how do you want?
And I also have
Those are
another
two different questions,
And there's
yeah.
another part of this question.
What?
What superpower do you need to stop this apocalyptic event?
Well, damn, dude. How much time
You know
do we
what?
have?
We need homework for this. You
yeah.
can't just assign this like we think quickly. Because I don't think quickly like...
Well,
It's
first
like,
of all,
just,
first
which
of
one
all,
do you think
first
one
of
of
all,
those? Which do you
no,
think
no,
is most likely to happen?
So
I think the asteroid.
I was gonna say
striking the Earth.
asteroid. Asteroid
What?
more is
Yeah.
the most likely.
I
Yeah.
didn't think that was really going to happen, but it's what I wanted.
No,
to
we're
happen.
actually past due for that to actually happen.
Oh,
That
yeah.
should have happened
It's
already.
gonna happen.
Again.
We're
Yeah.
all goners.
Well, if
no.
it happens, we're all just going to die.
But if I
That's
had
the thing
like
is,
if
yeah.
I had like Superman powers, I could go out and just
And just
bust
blow it
through-
up.
Just blow it
That's
up.
exactly what I was
That's what
gonna
I would
Stop being in
do.
my
Oh, I
head.
hear you.
I mean, when you think asteroid, that's all you can think is Superman.
Thor would have some shit to say
Yeah.
about it also.
Well, maybe we could get like some kind of Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor and everything like all working together.
Well, now you're
The
just
Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Get it,
now
get it out
you're
in
just
space.
talking ridiculous.
Yeah, because I wanted to insert a
I feel like a nuclear holocaust is actually probably next likely to happen.
That's boring.
There's not a whole lot you could do about that. After that, I feel like some kind of virus might be something that could happen. Again, not a whole lot you could do.
I feel like there's more that you could think about doing where you like have some kind of super doctor who
If I'm picking it, I want it to be asteroid because like once we
the
know
most
what's gonna
fun.
happen, you can know exactly like the minute it's gonna happen, and then from like that moment to when it hits, all fucking bets are off. You can just do whatever you want because you're gonna die.
No, you're calling in Superman.
Well, in this version, there's no Superman.
Why would there have a version with no Superman?
You mean reality? Like
I
the
don't-
real world?
No,
Or
we
this-
don't. We're not
Hailstorm
trying to
doesn't
talk
want to
about
live in a world
reality.
without Superman.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That is correct.
We will call. Who's the dude who played him in Lewis and Clark? We'll call Dean Cain.
Dean Cain.
We'll get
There
Dean
we go.
Cain. Hey, stop talking about Ripley's Believe It or Not. Get your ass back in that suit.
I'd be okay with that.
Alrighty. See, I was on top of it this time. I was
I'm proud
ready
of
to
you.
go.
I wasn't going to draw attention to it. I was just going to let it flow.
Who is the best sidekick? You're gonna have a lot of choices here.
Oh,
Out of your list.
I had one pop in my
Yes.
head. I thought you were going to say just
I'm
say
gonna
it.
throw some
Yeah, I
out
had
here.
one
Ready?
in my
All
head,
right,
too.
yeah.
Robin, Chewbacca, Samwise Gamgee, Spock, or Bucky Barnes?
Okay, probably the nerdiest response ever. Which Robin?
We're gonna go with Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson was going to be the name I was going to pop out.
Okay, there
Dick
you
Grayson.
go.
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca's mine too. There we go.
Fucking, okay.
Maybe there's a reason why we're married.
I guess
You're
so.
married?
What?
You can't be surprised every time.
What?
Also, because of the Blackwater, I hit myself really hard. Actually hurt.
You know what? You could have gotten extra points if you knocked yourself out.
You're married. Go ahead. Sorry. But
It's only
we're on
funny
5?
to
What are we
us,
doing? Okay.
Yeah, we're on 5.
I thought it was really funny. So did the live studio audience.
Right?
Go ahead.
She just wants you to knock yourself out too.
Nah, it's fair.
Knock yourself out. Would you rather fight
Yes.
a Terminator T-800,
No.
a xenomorph alien, or a predator alien?
Xenomorph alien, because I feel like it'd be easier to also. So first of all, fuck the T-800. Not doing that at all.
No way.
The Predator or the Xenomorph, you stand a better chance of hurting and wounding. Right. Now, the Predator has more tech and weapons and can go invisible and shit. That Xenomorph, while dangerous and deadly, that's very straightforward. Just fucking coming at you. So if you're armed properly, you have a much better job of stopping that thing.
Agreed.
Now, still think he's going to murder the shit out of you probably. But if I have to pick one, that's the one I want to fight, right?
But you could get into a large exoskeleton with big pincher hands and start fighting.
That's not a normal xenomorph. That was the queen. The queen's like way bigger. You're talking a normal xenomorph's like the size of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would still kill me.
You just know you can fight it. I don't know.
So here's my thought on that. I just remember watching Terminator and just being terrified at like the inevitability of your death.
It's like unstoppable. It's like fate coming for you. That's why that's so fucking goddamn.
Because it's programmed to get you.
No feeling, no emotion. You can't reason with it.
Unstoppable.
You can't hurt because there's thing. You can hurt the predator. He might retreat if you hurt him bad enough. You can't stop that.
You're gonna throw it into a vat of molten metal or something.
You got one of those in the backyard, bro?
I don't know. Not that I can. Not that I've seen.
I don't know. I don't know how this works.
All right, folks.
That was a good question, sir.
Yeah,
you ended strong.
Okay.
You started pretty shaky, but you ended strong.
Oh, yeah, that's not nice. All right, here we go.
Hang on, the live
I'm
studio
not going to
audience.
chug this thing.
Yeah, don't. Please don't.
Say, just a sip
You'll
would be
just
fine.
fall on the floor.
We have 2 more videos to do.
I know, I hear you. So, folks, what we want to see happen in these trying times is we want to hashtag trying times.
Unprecedented trying times.
We want to have people when we come out the other side of this thing and happiness and the world is more like we remember it and it's new normal. We want people to have something to look forward to through this thing. And probably the main thing I can think of is a box of wonderful stuff from the world's greatest news and reviews.
Yeah.
Now, these boxes that we create, I mean, I have a feeling that they're going to keep getting better as we go on.
Just like us.
You're right. Good observation. We're going to have always going to have a logo t-shirt from the world's greatest news and reviews. We always throw in a pop from the world famous Everett Funko Pops. We throw in some comic books. What we try to do is we're trying to get you to tell us once we figure out who you are and what you want, we're going to try to get some comic books that you're into or what you like. I'm going to do what I refer to as a drawing of your favorite character.
Patreons get the joke.
I'm going to put a lot of love and time and sweat and tears into this drawing for you. So hopefully you'll like it a lot. The way you get this stuff is you go to our YouTube channel and you subscribe. You subscribe to our channel and hit the like, because why wouldn't you? We like you. Why don't you like us? And we're going to have you put you down your name or some way that we can figure out who you are, because when we hit the next mark, which is 300 subscribers, we're going to give another one of these boxes away. We want you to I always post after every podcast the directions so you can go to our Facebook page and read what you need to do, but it's pretty simple. Like and subscribe, share our podcast, share this information for the giveaway to other people that want to like and subscribe so that they can also be part of the world's greatest army and follow us and enjoy our stuff. And just let's all be happy together and just look forward to the new world, because we're going to come out on the other side of this thing and we're going to be okay as people, and we're going to stick together. We're going to get through this.
Yeah, hopefully we help you get there.
Yeah.
Hailstorms, anything you want to say about the Grams or the Patreons or anything?
The Instagram is still chucking along. We finally got over 100 subscribers, which I haven't pushed that like we've pushed that for the YouTubes, because it just is something that we've been letting happen.
But that's pretty awesome, though. Can we give everyone a round of applause that freaking likes the YouTubes and who works on that?
Including Hailstorm for all her great work on the Instagram.
That's not nothing.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that we finally hit over 100. We're still trucking along with all original content. I don't know how long. I mean, eventually we'll run out of ideas.
No, we're never going to run out of ideas. No.
No.
I'm a bottomless pit.
Well, and then we just need to hire some funny people to write some stuff.
Oh, yes, that would be great.
Inside joke.
If we ever meet them.
There's another thing that I want to do a little plug on. We have our Were you done talking, or did I hijack your section? No, you go ahead and finish.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I feel really bad kind of right now that I hijacked something.
You should, but that's okay.
So I'm just sorry. I mean, I feel kind of bad right now. We'll put them on the record with saying that, because I think I interrupted Hailstorm.
God, you guys are like an old married couple.
I hear it. And so, if you go to theworldsgreatest.net, which is our website, and there is at least one blog in there going.
There's one active blog
from Weapon 2.
There's 2 blogs on there,
but there were 3, so don't be throwing shade, because there were 3.
I never even started one though, because I tell great stories in person. I have these awesome hand gestures, and you need to see it. I can't, not with the typey.
Hey, so
motherfucker.
I'm just saying, my next blog entry is the thing that I'm doing. I'm a little excited about it. We together, as the world's greatest army, as the world's greatest news and reviews fans, and a group of people, we're going to create a superhero team. Okay, the foundation of this team is a character. I don't want to go too in depth with it. You can read about it, because it's going to be the thing. He's a character. He's the foundation that our team's going to be built around. We are going to, over time, through the comment section and working together, we are going to establish the superhero team. We're going to make up their powers. We're going to make up what they look like. And when we're all done and we've established this team, I'm going to put this team on paper. I'm going to draw it out, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But so I'm just saying, that's my next little project on my blog.
By the way, speaking of your blog, I was actually texting T Crawler, and he was saying that he was having some writer's block. Didn't know quite where to put his the next installment of his blog. He is thinking about it, and he said he got all super intimidated because he saw your last blog, and you had like fucking drawings in there, like you sketched out like original fucking art to put into it. And he's just like, yeah, I don't know how to like follow that up. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't blame you. That's like intimidating.
It's
can't
not
follow
a competition. It's not. He doesn't have to follow me up. He's just got to follow himself up.
He's just got to be him.
Yes,
got to be him.
It's all about the personalities.
BT Crawler.
Right, everybody's different.
You don't got to be Weapon 2. No one can.
Nobody
BT
can.
Crawler.
Not even me. So, Hailstorm, what were you going to say next before I rudely interrupted you?
Oh, we were just talking about the Instagrams and how we got 100 subscribers and how we are still plugging away with the memes. We finally delved into some quarantine memes. We held off for a while, but sometimes that's
the problem
what you
is
got to make jokes about.
I've held off sharing those on Facebook also, but every now and then I'll see a really good one. And I'm like, wow, okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. It's funny.
It's okay. It's okay to talk about it. I just don't want to get obsessed about it, and that'd be our only thing.
Exactly. Because so many pages, that's all they're talking about.
No, we sprinkle them in, and we are making jokes from every angle because we are still going to work. So there's the aspect of us being considered essential staff. But we joked about, people who stuck inside the house. We joke, even though that's not our reality.
Yeah.
We've joked about all the things, even though, just so because we're trying to have something that people will like, no matter what their situation is. But there's also other stuff on there too. We're not just doing that.
Yeah, you're not hammering that away.
No.
So
nope.
No, I dare say the Instagrams is doing great.
I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, good job. All right, Weapon 2. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think we've said it all.
Hailstorms?
Got nothing.
All right, guys. Well,
next time.
So this was the first countdown we've done based on a specific actor to see their top 5 movies. If you guys enjoyed that and you want us to do more actor or actress specific countdowns, let us know and give us a suggestion. You
got to pick an actor who's done a lot of movies.
Yeah, we need a good. It can't be like all of us picking the same movies.
Yeah,
this was cool because for the most part it was different. So,
yeah.
But yeah, let us know. Give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And as always, thank you for joining us on this episode of the world's greatest news and reviews. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Peace.